What's going on, guys? I'm sure most of you know the biggest drama in the NHL right now is whether or not Jeremy Swayman is going to re-sign with the Boston Bruins. I read a report from Elliot Friedman saying a couple weeks ago he heard there was trade rumors. Boston, though, was shutting those down, didn't want to trade him away. But in their most recent press conference, Cam Neely said how Swayman had 64 million reasons to play hockey this year.
I don't want to get into the weeds with what his ask is, but I know that I have 64 million reasons why I'd be playing right now.
And then his agent came out and said we never got a $64 million offer, and they would discuss where they're going to go from here. And according to this Twitter account, he apparently has asked Boston for a trade. I'm not sure how true it is, but obviously it is fun to see what would happen if Boston did decide to trade him away. And now if you look on the Cap Wages website, guys, you'll see there's only 5 teams that can afford to take him on at the $8 million price without, trading anyone away. That's Columbus, Anaheim, Calgary, San Jose, and Utah. Obviously, Boston could also afford to keep him. And I think for this video, we'll just look at those teams plus Buffalo and Chicago. They are so close. You could easily trade back like a $1 or $2 million player. Wouldn't, be too crazy. But when you get into like a trade with, say, the Minnesota Wild, who only have $1 million in cap space, at that point, it's like, a bunch of moving parts. Do they make that kind of trade at the start of the season? Probably not. For right now, like I said, we'll just look at these, 7 teams and what they could offer up. Now, as I mentioned, Swayman wants at least 8x8. I'm going to have him gain a little bit more here, 8.25, whichever new team signs him. Hopefully, he's happy with that. Again, a very good goalie, won the Jennings, 22-23. In-game here is 8.9 overall with elite potential. Makes him a top 10 goalie in the league. I personally think he's at least top 10, maybe even top 5. So, you're looking at his trade value here. As a goalie, nothing crazy. It's kind of like in between the R there if you want to just, look at the bar. So we'll start off here, guys, with Columbus Blue Jackets, work our way up. I think Merzlikins probably would go back, although honestly, he's a bit of a cap dump, so maybe they would actually just prefer to take Tarasov here. Again, Columbus, can trade for Swayman without sending any salary back the other way. Obviously, they're actually below the salary cap minimum right now, but because of the whole Johnny Gaudreau situation, I actually seen the NHLPA said it's going to be fine for right now. So Swayman, you got to send back somebody. I don't think Jarachek, but maybe they go and send back, say, Denton Mateychuk, pretty solid young defenseman. And I think, with that, they probably have to send over a second-round pick. Tarasov, Mateychuk, a second, is pretty close to Swayman there. For this video, guys, I have the trade difficulty set to medium. I think that hopefully will give us the most realistic results. So let's see what the Bruins say. He's not on the block. In real life, he probably would be, which would make this easier. Trades rejected. I'll try also adding a third-round pick the next year. So pretty good package all of a sudden for Swayman. The Boston Bruins are still saying no. Now, you know what, guys? I wonder if Columbus would actually be willing to go up Kent Johnson here. He signed for the next 3 years at 1.8 because Columbus is below the salary cap minimum. They have a bit higher in game, but as you can see, he's got elite potential, 84 overall in game, probably, a bit too high in terms of the rating. Swayman obviously would be their goalie of the future. He's still only 25 years old. Even for a rebuilding team, if you're good to go in 3-4 years, he's only in his late 20s. I think Johnson's a solid forward. But again, Swayman's an elite goaltender. All of a sudden, you don't have to worry about that. You can build the rest of the team out. I think Columbus might do this in real life, in game. Probably a bit of an overpay. Boston there says yes. So yeah, Blue Jackets fans, let me know whether or not you would do that trade. And now next year, guys, we're going to try making a trade as the Anaheim Ducks. I think this could actually be a potential really good spot for Swayman. Obviously, the Ducks have Gibson, who's asked for a trade in the past. Gibson would come in, I think, be the starter there for Boston, and they'd have a decent tandem all of a sudden. Him and Korpisalo. 2 guys have been on pretty bad teams the past few years. Gibson on Anaheim, Korpisalo on Columbus. Maybe if it really is Boston systems making these goalies good, like Swayman, like Allmark, their numbers will go up. And speaking of that, I'm really curious to see how Allmark does in Ottawa this year. Kind of like when Brady left Belichick, I'm curious to see, is it the goalie or is it the team? So we'll build this trade around Gibson, modified no trade clause, but he is willing to get moved here. And like I say, it's not too bad. 85 overall there, 31 years old, so still young enough to help them compete for the next couple seasons. $6.5 million for 3 years, they can't afford that. Obviously, Anaheim would have to sweeten the pot. I'm not going to give up any of like their young studs. I'm thinking, who would they be willing to, trade over the other way? Isaac Lundstrom, I feel like they'd probably be willing to add him in if Boston was interested in him. He's like a cheap player too they could afford. I think at that point it actually would be $7 million. First round pick, there's no way. Maybe they would do like second next year, their third this year. All of a sudden, wow, Gibson, Lundstrom, second and third. Value's quite on our side. I guess we could try the trade without the third, see what Boston says. Trade's rejected. We'll throw in that third round pick. And it's actually still rejected. They say quite far off. We'll try adding Solberg to this trade. They just drafted him late first round this season. I think if they see Swayman as like, a big piece of their future, they're probably fine with this overall deal. And Boston does say yes. So Ducks fans, let me know. Gibson, second round pick next year, third round pick this year, Isaac Lundstrom, and Solberg for Jeremy Swayman. All right, now next year, guys, with the Calgary Flames making an offer, this is probably going to have to center around Dustin Wolf, a good young goalie. If I was Boston, I would definitely want him back in the deal. He's been with Calgary his whole career. I don't know if they would want to give him up, but I mean, again, it depends, I guess, how highly they value Jeremy Swayman. Now, with him, what's like a piece that's going to make Boston kind of be excited to make this trade? Sharon Govich could maybe send back the other way. He's a guy that they could afford, especially with Wolf coming back on a cheap deal. They did just extend him though, so it's like, I don't know. I think Kuzmenko probably a guy that would make more sense, and then they would honestly have to probably add a decent young player. I don't think Hanzik. Connor Zary maybe could try like a Justin Poirier there. So Wolf, Kuzmenko, Poirier for Jeremy Swayman. We'll try this to start. Trades rejected. Now they have 2 first-round picks this year. Florida's for sure is going to go to Montreal, and they'll actually keep their first-round pick. I got to fix that here in the game. The Devils' first-rounder, maybe they would honestly do that. So Wolf, Kuzmenko, Poirier, and the Devils' first-round pick for Jeremy Swayman. Trades rejected. Quite close to fair value. Oh my goodness. All right, so we'll just do a 6 there to make sure it goes through. Flames fans, what do you think? Obviously, you're getting a bit better goalie, but you're giving up on Wolf, Kuzmenko, Poirier, first rounder, Jeremy Swayman. Interesting trade. And now next year, guys, we're trying to make this trade. The San Jose Sharks. Obviously, they just traded for Askarov, so this would be wild if they pulled this off. I think, honestly, Askarov would have to be included because he wanted out of Nashville because he didn't want to be stuck behind Saros. If they bring in Swayman, he would just demand a trade because he didn't want to be stuck behind Swayman now. So Askarov here getting flip-flopped to the Boston Bruins, but he could be their future starter. Definitely could see him beating out Korpisalo. And honestly, too, maybe the Sharks see themselves, doing better than we all do with Celebrini, the 2 wheels leading the way. So looking at this trade here, I mean, Quentin Musty's elite potential in this game. I don't know about that one, but I guess we could just make this easy. Skarov, Musty for Swayman. I think the Sharks could actually get like a 2nd-round pick back if they did this trade. And Boston says no. I actually thought, yeah, the Sharks are maybe overpaying based on the values. Get a 3rd-rounder there. They're still saying no, so I guess Skarov and Musty for Swayman was not enough. Sharks know they'll probably not be great this year, but the next year might be better. So Askarov, Musty in a 2nd for Jeremy Swayman. There you go, Sharks fans. What do you think? And now next you guys have the Utah Hockey Club. Honestly, I could see them making a big pitch for Jeremy Swayman. You look at the core of their team, they're all kind of in that early to mid-20s, so they would actually, really benefit, I think, from him as well, too. They already, made those big moves this summer, getting Sergachev, getting Marino, clearly trying to be a better team. They don't want to be tanking their first season, so Ingram here, they probably want to keep. I would guess they send back Vamelka the other way. Maybe we'll put him in instead, depending on, what Boston says. I feel like if they believe in themselves, they probably wouldn't give up their 1st-round pick. And now in terms of skaters, we got to send, somebody back the other way. Maybe Alex Kerfoot gets it done, modified NTC, but is willing to go to Boston. So Vamelka 1st and Kerfoot here for Jamie Swayman. Boston says no. Nick Bukestad apparently has a good amount more value than Kerfoot. Obviously, big player. Boston loves their big defenseman. We'll try adding him. We'll also try adding a 2nd-round pick here. We'll make it balanced. We'll do Ottawa 2nd-rounder there, 2026. And there we go. So, Utah, what do you think? I'm not sure how many Utah fans there are, but Vamelka 1st, 2nd, and Nick Bukestad for Jamie Swayman. I think that's actually a really good deal for them. And now next you guys with the Buffalo Sabres. Originally I was thinking I might not include them because obviously they're a divisional team, but at the same time Boston just traded Allmark to another divisional team, the Ottawa Senators, so I feel like they're just willing to do whatever the best return is. Luukkonen looking pretty good for Buffalo. They probably have to flip him here, and they still have Levi for the future, so I feel like they would be willing to do that. Does Buffalo believe in themselves? Willing to give up a 1st-round pick? We'll try doing this trade without that. See if there's any skaters they like that would actually make sense trading. I feel like forward depth wise, I don't know if you can afford to really give up any of these players. So, if you're trading for Swayman, you are going for it. Let's just try Luukkonen in a 1st here for Jamie Swayman. The value's way on our side. They still say no. Try throwing in a 2nd the year after. And Boston says yes. So Buffalo fans, Luukkonen 1st, 2nd for Swayman. I mean, definitely makes you a better team. And now finally here, guys, with the Chicago Blackhawks. As I mentioned, we have to send back at least like a couple $1 million, but I think most teams so far we've been doing that anyways. So Mrazek, they could send back 4.2. Brossoit there. I honestly wonder who Boston would prefer. I feel like Brossoit's been a solid backup. A little bit cheaper there than Mrazek, but if they do think Mrazek's a better goalie, maybe they're willing to take him on there at 4.2 for 2 years. He does have more value in game. Definitely Blackhawks won't be giving up their 1st-round pick. Could see them giving up the least 1st-round pick, though, to get Swayman. Maybe they give up the Stars 2nd there as well. I actually think the Blackhawks might surprise some people this year. I don't see them being a playoff team, but I also don't see them being bottom 5. So Mrazek a 1st and a 2nd might be enough. Trades rejected, okay, just because, yeah, those picks a little bit, less valued as those teams are better. And now this is going to be kind of crazy, guys. What if we sent Taylor Hall back to the Boston Bruins? Obviously, played pretty well with them. If we do that, though, instead of Mrazek, it'll have to be Brossoit. Downgrade to Brossoit, add Taylor Hall. Boston says yes. Okay, so Blackhawks fans, 1st, 2nd, neither one's yours. Taylor Hall and Brossoit for Jeremy Swayman. Let me know in the comments section. Also, Boston fans, let me know which of these trades did you like the best. Again, these are just for the teams that, you know, have that salary cap space to make Swayman work. But that's gonna be it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you did, leave that thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't. Thank you guys so much for watching. Have a nice day. Goodbye.